I'm going to be sharing some numbers and statistics, but hopefully we never lose sight of the fact that behind every number, there is an individual, there is a child who's coming to the United States looking for protection. So the CBP released statistics for February, and amongst that information, we learned that in February, they encountered over 9,297 unaccompanied children. That represents about 9% of the total population. Unaccompanied children are defined as those who are under 18 years old and aren't in the company of a guardian or a parent. While it is true that this is the highest number of encounters of unaccompanied children at the border for a February, it's not the record. For example, in May of 2019, there were over 11,361 children encountered by CBP. I am going to touch upon the Biden administration briefly, but let me finish with a few other pieces of information of who else is coming to the border. We also have family units approaching the US border. In February, CBP encountered 19,246 family units, representing about 19% of the total population. Many of these families are coming from places such as Honduras, Guatemala, and El Salvador. But as a point of comparison, in February of 2019, CBP actually encountered 40,740 units. So again, we are certainly seeing an increase in children and family units coming to the border, but this is not something that is new or hasn't happened in the past. And then single adults. Single adults continue to make up the majority of CBP encounters. In February, CBP encountered over 71,000 individuals, single adults, and they represent about 71% of total encounters. And I would be remiss if I didn't note that there are other people at the US southern border. There continue to be the individuals who were metered. This was a policy under the prior administration in which individuals who were seeking access to our US asylum system were essentially told to take a number and have remained in many parts of the US southern border, waiting for their opportunity to access the US asylum system. We also have US citizens, lawful permanent residents, and visitors with visas who continue to be permitted to enter the United States southern border pending negative COVID tests. So the border remains a dynamic place, but certainly we have been seeing increases in unaccompanied children. So how is the Biden administration responding? Well, the fact of the matter is that the Office of Refugee and Resettlement, who is tasked for caring these children, was funded to have about 13,000 beds available. But as a result of COVID-19 and the social distancing measures that are required because of COVID-19, many of these beds are offline. And by that, I mean, they're not available to be used. And so the Biden administration is having to quickly, almost round the clock, ramp up their ability to care for these children. So in many ways, the use of these influx facilities, while not ideal, it's basically the only option that the Biden administration has to temporarily house the children that are coming to the US border. And I'll also note that it's not that we didn't have children unaccompanied children approaching the US border in the past, certainly in the most recent administration, but I think they weren't as public. Some of you may have followed news that oftentimes families and children were being expelled from the United States, but were first held incommunicado in hotels before their deportation. Certainly, it is much more public, the fact that children are coming to our southern border and seeking protection. 2 new facilities have recently been brought online by the Biden administration in Midland and in Dallas. And it's our understanding that HHS officials are basically being allowed to work overtime, all in the interest of trying to process these children to be released to sponsors in the United States, sponsors who oftentimes are their parent or family members. The other 2 administration responses that I want to cover, and then I'll turn it over to Andrew Nater here to talk a little bit about what he's seeing on the ground and the practitioner's perspective, is that the majority of people arriving to the southern border continue to be expelled. So in February, about 72% of all folks encountered at the US border were expelled under the Title 42 order, which authorizes the Department of Homeland Security to expel individuals from the United States who do not have basically permission or documents to enter. Expulsions are continuing to happen, even though we do see that some family units are being permitted to enter the United States. And unfortunately, we are seeing that these immigrants are being wrongfully blamed and at times scapegoated regarding the spread of COVID-19. However, we know that recent arrivals at Brownville, Texas, actually showed a lower positive COVID-19 test rate of 6.3% than compared to the rest of the state of Texas, which has about a 9% COVID-19 test rate.